I took like your parents' divorce really hard.
Right. Yeah. You
It
honestly
was my
probably
first
took it,
like divorce going
You
through,
honestly
basically.
probably took it harder than I did.
Because I didn't want to go into our marriage because we were so freshly new.
Mm-hmm.
Just like already doing it.
So,
I'm making taco soup. I'm making me a bowl of leftover taco soup. If y'all watched our last video, this is the leftover taco soup from it. It's just so good leftover too, you know? Look at that. With Frito scoops in there. Oh yeah. Can you tell that I got my eyebrows waxed?
Not right now.
They're not as red?
No, they're not
Okay,
red
good.
anymore. You look like you had 2 tomato slices up there earlier.
They were so red. So if they look red on camera, it's because I got my eyebrows waxed. Because we leave in 2 days to go to LA. We're going to a race, the finale of motocross, supercross.
Yeah, so sorry that... Should we do this? Should you do that? Should we eat? Should you eat?
I'm a hungry girl. Okay, let's get into it. We're gonna talk about some very deep things. A lot of times people just assume things about our life just based on what they see, you know?
Yeah.
And really, it's not the case, what people think of. So we thought it would be cool to kind of give a little history of us individually, like our childhood, and we're gonna talk about, maybe we've got to.
It's you. You're the one that stopped talking.
Cause you're distracting me. And then we're gonna talk about like growing up with divorced parents and then talking about just like the future. Let's go down memory lane. Let's start. Hunter.
I'm going down it right now.
Okay.
All right, guys. So I was born in February 1998. I went to 2 schools throughout my life. One for kindergarten through and then a new one in high school. Basically, it's pretty much how it went down. I played sports when I was little, but I was always riding dirt bikes, and then I played baseball and soccer in high school. This is gonna be controversial. I was first rode on a dirt bike the day that I turned a month old, and I got my first dirt bike for my 3rd birthday.
What's wild is Ivy's almost 3. Could you picture her riding?
No,
Absolutely not.
she's not it.
So
Now
how
she
many-
loves riding with me. Absolutely loves it. But we have her like a little balance bike. She's not very fond of it. I have a half brother. He's 10 years older than me. So pretty much an only child, because I only have like a couple memories of him like living in the house with us, and I was really little.
An only child meaning the times you were at home. Not, obviously he's not saying he is dissing his brother.
Right. I'm saying I grew up in as an only child. We had the same dad. We had different moms, and he lived with his mom. Like my brother lived with his mom like 95% of my life. Before that, I think he lived with my parents more.
Yeah.
And he lived with us some when I was really little, but he never lived with us after the time I was like probably 6.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I barely, like I said, I only have like a couple memories of us like actually living together.
Were you close to your parents growing up?
Yes, I was, especially because I was basically an only child, right? I was the only child in the house. I lived out in the country, so I didn't live like in a neighborhood or anything. And there was only one person that was similar to my age that lived close to me, like close enough that we could like play together or whatever, for probably like 2 years. So the other, it was actually probably longer than that, but thinking back now, it felt like only... It wasn't very long. It wasn't like my whole childhood. So I hung out with my parents. You know, that was it. That was the only option. Unless they either that or they had to take me somewhere or had to, somebody else's parents had to bring them to my house kind of thing. There was no like neighborhood kids like riding bicycles to each other's houses, kind of stuff like that.
So I was born July 24th, 1998. Fun fact, one of my grandmas, my nanny, delivered Hunter.
Yeah.
And was his mom's nurse.
She was an
L&D nurse, yeah. So she delivered me and my husband. I have a lot of siblings, but it's kind of, I have to explain the dynamic for me to even say it. My parents were divorced from the beginning, basically.
You were like 3?
I was like 2 when they divorced, so I don't remember them ever being together from start of memories, I was always going back and forth between my mom's house and my dad's house. So between my mom and dad, they share 3 kids. So it's me and my 2 older sisters. So I was the youngest out of them. And then my mom had an older son, then had us girls. She now has 2 more girls. So obviously they didn't come till later in life, but I was still little, so we're close.
Yeah.
So I'm close to all of my brothers and sisters. My dad now has a son. It's a whole, lots of little things.
Lots of branches on the tree.
A lot of branches, but so I have a lot of siblings. It's just hard to explain sometimes, like quickly.
You have a half brother and you have a stepsister and a stepbrother.
Yes. So
from your stepmom.
Mm-hmm. So my whole life, it was like chaos in a way, just with lots of kids. And if you're a mom or if you grew up with a lot of siblings, like I don't ever remember there being like
the house being quiet.
Yeah, like thinking back to my childhood, it was so crazy.
Yeah.
Well, whenever the times we went to my dad's, it was more chill because it was just us 3 girls. But then at my mom's, once she had the other 2, my younger sisters, it was just, bless her. Now I'm like, Mom, I'm sorry. Okay, I know why sometimes you were so stressed because I would be stressed having 6 kids in the house. I was close to both of my parents growing up. I will say at a young age, like I remember there was like a custody battle going on, which I don't know why, because both households are fine, and I guess it was just...
And your parents get along
They get along great. But now I think we finally figured it out, and we went like, I was 2 days at my mom's, 2 days at my dad's, and then we swapped weekends. We split weekends. So we were so used to it. I think that matured me a lot quicker. Like, I remember having a childhood, and it was fun and stuff, and, like, being able to play and all this stuff. Mm-hmm. But we also my parents didn't have a lot of money. We didn't really have a lot of things, I guess. A lot of people assume now, just with the lifestyle we have, they see the things we have now, and they assume that's her dad's money, or they just came from money, or that's family money. And like, no, we didn't. I was taught at a young age to work hard for everything you have, and things aren't just given, but also that things don't buy you happiness. And so I had a great childhood, and we didn't have a lot of things. Now, we did have some memories. Like, I remember my dad, he had a good job at one time that he took us to Disney World, all of us girls and stuff.
When that schedule that you had going from your mom's to your dad's, I've always heard you say that you liked it, that it worked well for y'all. Do you think that you never felt like at home? You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Do you feel like you were always, it's like, I don't really want to,
like,
you know what I'm saying?
Or...
Right. Do you feel like you were like living out of a bag like your whole childhood?
No, because we had our...
I know you had your own, you had clothes at both houses and XYZ, but especially once you got older,
getting older, started wearing, you always had to pack a bag. Yeah.
You always had to pack a bag because you got to bring all your makeup and you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Once I got older, yes.
So once you were like a teenager.
Yeah, but I was used to it.
Yeah.
But I will say, once I was a teenager, because of that, I'd like call my mom and be like, hey, can I just stay extra night at dad's?
Right.
Or vice versa, Because there was... just 2 days. That's like on a vacation. You don't unpack because you're leaving soon.
Right.
And so,
that's what I'm saying.
But
do you think you would have liked it better to do like a week and a week?
No.
No.
No. No. No. And I think it's because nothing against my parents, but it's almost like...
It's almost like you got a break.
I got a break, yes. And because like I said, my dad's house was more quiet because it was just us 3 girls.
Yeah.
And then mom's house, there was all the kids. So it was like, and this isn't a bad thing, but my dad's house was just calmer.
So my parents were married until I was 19, which is kind of weird because
it was
like
very...
you expect, like, if your parents are going to get divorced, in a way you expect it to happen like when you're a kid, I
feel like it's harder when they get divorced when you're older, because I don't remember most of it. Now I was 2. So maybe if I was like 8 or 9 or whatever, that might be hard. But
that I would. It
was so odd for you. For them, that it
was.
Happen.
I think it helped because I was old enough to understand it. Where if you're that age, what you're talking about, like 8, 9, 10, something like that, you may not really be old enough to understand it, but you're just gonna have to like suffer the consequences, kind of. Not that it's always a bad thing either. There's some cases that are good, but for me, it was just weird. You know what I'm saying?
Because at that point, we were married.
We had just got married.
Yeah, we were.
We had just got married. And
so
it was like,
no custody had to happen.
Yeah, right. We saw my parents like the most. Mm-hmm. And so it was just one of those things that was like really odd and took a long time to like get used to. Mm-hmm. I'm glad that it happened, I guess, like after we had gotten married. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
and stuff like that, because you know when you get married and you move out, that's like your new life and your new family. So in a way, I feel like that helped me.
Yeah.
You know,
because we had each
so
other.
I'm glad. Right.
You
right.
didn't have to go to your house every day and be like, oh, Dad's not here anymore.
Right.
I will say, because I just never grew up knowing what like a healthy marriage looked like. And so, and all I knew was like divorce and the repercussions of that. And so we were together since I was 13. So it felt good to see like a marriage be successful.
Yeah.
And like, you know, so even for me, I took like your parents' divorce really hard.
Right. Yeah.
Because
yeah, you
it was
honestly
my
probably
first
took it,
like divorce going
You
through.
honestly
basically.
probably took it harder than I did. Like from the time we were like 15, like you started coming on like vacations with us and stuff like that. So I think that was just like something that you looked up to.
Well, right, because I never
And
had
so-
saw what it felt like or what knew
Right.
what to look like.
Yeah.
And then for us, it gave me hope
Right.
that we wouldn't divorce one day.
Right.
Which there's all kind of other backstories to things,
Yeah.
but and thankfully we have Jesus, you know.
Right.
And so I remember getting like premarital counseling and stuff, and like one of my insecurities like through my whole teenage years was trust and stuff, and like
Yeah.
I remember we went through the phase of I was just so insecure. I was just always so scared like if we could have
Yeah.
a good marriage. You know what I mean?
Right.
I had to fix like trust issues I had and like just bondage and
Yeah.
hard things that I like grew up with. Like I had to break those off. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
For me to go, because I didn't want to go into our marriage because we were so freshly new. Just like already dooming it.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
So we're past that.
Yeah. Like I'm so proud of you for like just the way that you are and who you are and everything, for like knowing that some of the things that you went through. What? It's true though, you know? Like just it's just crazy, like not to get like surface level. Some of the comments that people say about like what you were talking about, like about our stuff, or like somebody gave them all that or whatever, which number one, that's not true. And that's just like the beginning of like, if you like would have seen even just in our relationship, like you, like when it started, like how you were and how in a way like how much of like a broken like person that you were, and like how you've grown out of that and like the person that you are now.
Thanks.
I'm just so proud of you.
Thank you.
You know.
That's so sweet.
So
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Your eyeballs are watery. So.
I know they're a little watery.
Well,
I'm
this is going
I'm just proud to call you my person.
You're
you know?
so sweet, and ditto. That really means a lot. Is this like a therapy session? We're like, we got to make a Q&A, and here we are getting cryy.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I just wish
special.
that people
That's sweet.
could like really see like some of the, because my childhood was really not that bad, and yours was good too.
Yes, I had a great
But there
childhood.
were like, I guess, times
Seasons.
seasons that were not so good
Yeah.
for you.
And that's like,
And I just wish that people could see that, so they could be like, oh,
you're sweet.
you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
But I just have to give all the credit to Jesus because
Right.
he literally saved my life. Like I have a testimony video I posted, and he seriously saved me like from all kinds of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And like looking back, I'm like, how did I go through like that and come out okay?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And I have to give it, my mama is a prayer warrior, and she's the reason I know and love Jesus. And like as a parent, it just shows that our prayers are so powerful for our kids.
Yeah.
And like that's why I just pray, like whenever I'm laying with Ivy in the bed, not even verbally, just in my head. I'm just like going through all these things, like just praying for protection over her for certain things, because all things, but because I have a testament of my mom's prayers for me and how it helped me through things, you know,
Yeah.
and all my sisters, and
Yeah.
you know, and of course, and that's like, I love my parents. I am the way I am because of how they raised me, you know,
Right.
but also none of us were not perfect. So there's grace for all of that. And then I had to just go deal with like forgiveness on my side for things. And
Yeah.
that once I like reached for the forgiveness level, and the only way I could do that was because whenever I got saved, and it was a choice. It wasn't a feeling of forgiving. I felt so free. And I think that's when my walls broke and I was like, I wasn't toxic anymore.
Yeah.
Like jealous and just like bitter and like, I don't even know. Like, I'm just so glad you stayed with me. I mean, I was so young, but still, you know what I mean? I mean, still real life feelings and stuff at that age. I'm proud, like, thankful that you stayed with me and didn't leave me to be.
Of course, you little Frito breath.
Because if you left me at that age, I'd have been so broke. So that is why we don't throw around the D word in this house.
Right.
Divorced. Now, obviously, there are situations that
It's warranted.
you know.
Yeah.
Yes, for sure. But that is also because of our beliefs. So we just love the Lord. If you are a Christian, then you know, there are reasons in the Bible that are okay for you to have get a divorce. But just because we're like, I'm not really feeling it anymore, like we're not going to divorce because of that. Because love is a choice. It's not a feeling. You know, yes, you can have the butterflies and all that, but some of that is situational, like, you know, and so.
I would say that we took our vows seriously, you know, like it's not just something that you say when you're getting married, you know, it's making a promise to each other. You know what I mean? Because of that, like, we're going to hold each other to those things that we said and things that are unsaid that should hold true. You know what I mean?
I mean, and it can be hard sometimes, you know, like because we're imperfect and sinful, and there are moments of like that are hard in our marriage, but because of those vows and the choice, that's why it's like, even if I'm not feeling it, if I'm like, I'm choosing to, you know, all that. It's also, I feel a pressure because I grew up with divorced parents. So knowing like me and Hunter are going to be in it for the long haul and until death do us part.
Yeah.
It puts pressure. I do feel pressure because I'm like, this is Ivy's childhood is going to look so different than yours did or mine did, you know?
And that's another thing too, is like, I just want to be an example, like for her to show her that like it is possible, I guess. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And like to see what a healthy marriage looks like. And yes, that includes like some arguments and like saying sorry and how to handle things. And, you know, there's so many times where we have to go to each other, working through things where I'm like, I'm sorry I was rude, you know, and vice versa. And so I do feel that pressure, but I'm excited. But I also just never want her to go through things I had to go through. But those things did help, like they shaped me into who I am.
Right. Well, I mean, you gained the, you know, experience from that, and it did shape you into who you are. So now you can teach her like those things to where she doesn't have to experience it to know. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I was like, I hope it don't sound like we're just beating around the bush and everybody's like, so what is it? What happened? You know, it's just like not the time and place to share some of those personal things and involving like people in our life and stuff. So out of respect for all parties, like it's not just my story to tell. And so that's why I can't just like tell everything that happened to me and what we're talking about. Yeah. Just more of like how situations can mold you into the person that you're gonna be. Yeah. But also like now being older, it makes me, and being a parent too. Yeah. It does make me like view my parents differently and like they're humans and go through things just like we do. Yeah. So I was listening to a podcast the other day. One of the guys said that you really have to like learn to love your parents twice. Yeah. You know, like we always tell Ivy, I love you. So she's just going to grow up like thinking that we're like, you know, the best parents because they like when you're that age up until you're like really like an older teenager, like you really only see the best things you really do. That they do. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like you don't see how they are like at work and XYZ, but like the older that you get, the more that you start to realize like what kind of personality they really have. That's true. And so like you have to, once you learn that, and really especially once you don't live with them anymore, like you have to learn how to love them again in a different way. Once my mind swapped and you can like, you end up seeing them as like just a child of God too. And then like, sometimes I don't feel like people realize what they're going through can affect other people. Yeah. And so viewing it that way, being like, okay, it's not personal. They're not doing it intentionally to hurt me. Right. But it's just a repercussion of their own sin and whatever. So as the receiver of it, it is good to be able to like mentally change your mindset and be like, okay, it's not me. Right. They don't want to hurt me. Yeah. They love me. This got deep. Girl.
We said it was going to be a little deep. I just didn't know it was going to get deep.
Yeah.
Like with this crying. That was very sweet of you. I love you so much. All right. Well, we love y'all. Thank y'all for y'all's support and being like a part of our lives. And it's so cool meeting y'all. If you ever see us, come say hi. I know some people are like, I'm sorry, but we're so thankful. Y'all are the reason that we are able to do this, and your support means the world. So if you
really spitting the facts
enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you're not subscribed, and let us know in the comments what kind of content y'all want to see next. Or if y'all have another topic we can sit down and talk about. We'll love to do that and share. Okay. Bye.
Toodaloo.